Hello, what I have here is I have three literature pieces. The first one you see here on the outside cover is the Kyra Kyra by Cynthia Kadada. The second one here is The Sign of the Beaver by Elizabeth George Spear. And over here, I have the 60th anniversary edition of Strawberry Girl by Lois Linsky. In each of these pieces of fiction literature here cover the matters of integrating social studies and language arts. And for the social studies themes that are presented, there's two books that cover the same matter of explaining economic patterns of various early Native American groups in the U.S. The first one's The Sign of the Beaver. And in the clip art here I have on the diagram, the first one here that I'm pointing at is a diagram of the state of Maine, in which the theme is created from. It's a matter of the Beaver Indians that are already living here, and now people had signed a treaty. The Indians had agreed to allow the European Americans to come there, and now they were migrating to the areas that were beforehand mainly covered by the Beaver Indians. And here we have the attire of the Mohawks, and then also the Indian hut that they would live in. Another book that covers the same theme is Kyra Kyra by Cynthia Kadada. And this one deals with Japanese Americans already living in the state of Iowa. Down here I have the diagram of the state of Iowa. Some clip art of Japanese girls, and then the state that they was forced to move to, and that was the state of Georgia. In here, these Japanese Americans were already natives here from several generations past, but yet they had to come to another state due to the employment there being periodical and seasonal and not having long seasons. It had to be then given to another place. And so the father found the place of Georgia, and therefore they were required to move, even though they did not want to leave, due to having a high group of people that were Japanese living there in their city inside the state of Iowa. And they had to combat the matter of prejudice due to the South not having that. And then also you have here the language arts themes. And here there's also two themes. The first one is recognizing dialect and conversational voice, and how authors use dialect to convey character. Two books have that theme. The first one's The Sign of the Beaver, in which the English is spoken by Matt, the oldest child left behind after creating the log cabin in their new area in the northern part of Maine they were moving to. Matt was left by his father to take care of that log cabin while he went to get the rest of the family. And that's presented here in this picture, a young child being left behind. The other main character is Ateen, who's Indian, of the Beaver Indian group. And you have here the tomahawk shown, representing the Indian tribes here. And Ateen had his own language, known for the Beaver Indians. And he knew a little bit of English due to having to constantly trade with those that were coming there. And therefore, after meeting each other, they began to learn each other's dialect. And the books representing here was books that Matt used to teach Ateen after being addressed by Ateen's father to teach him, his son, how to read. And then also in the book Kyra Kyra, there is the dialect of the Japanese words used to describe a deeper meaning felt by these characters. And the two main characters in here is sisters, and that is the names of Katie and Lynn. And Lynn, after movement from Iowa to Georgia, had developed a sickness. But during her entire life, she always kept a diary to expose her inner feelings, as represented here by this booklet here showing a diary. This middle picture is listed with Japan and showing an image of a young girl, and the background being the culture there in Japan. And then, of course, this here is the Japanese alphabet. representing words. And as the title says here, Kyra Kyra, that there means glittering. And that represents having a positive attitude. Even though there may be troubles going, she still decided to keep a positive attitude in her entire life up till her death. Lynn had kept this diary. And then Katie, after her death, went to review the wordings that she had posted. And that gave her the desire to learn. And with the background behind all the migrations of people, like in the Strawberry Girl, you have the migration of the people from Georgia and the Carolinas into Florida. And then those that already had been there prior to the people coming from Carolina and Georgia, fighting over territory. You would have that along with the early Native American groups that were already there. And upon migration from Europe to America, and them overtaking it and making treaties where they signed over the land to give to the European Americans. And then you have, of course, your language arts, the matter of teaching how to read, how to write, and understanding dialect from different groups. And in the language arts theme here for the Strawberry Girl, you have analyzing the development of the plot through the internal and external responses of characters, including motivations and conflicts. And here you have the family feuds between the Boyers who came to move to the Lakeland, Florida area. And then you also have the comments inside the homes between the Boyers and the Slaters who had already been there. The Slaters had been there for several generations. And the actions outside the homes between the Boyers, the new immigrants, and the Slaters. And in here you can be able to use this matter of writing comments of prejudices seen between people, assuming something without finding the evidence. And here we have the picture here of the strawberries in many baskets lined up in rows. And that's what the Boyers were doing, was growing items to try and help survive during that time. Here you have the old farmhouse. And here you have the fenced-in area with cattle. And the Boyers tried to take over the land that was officially assigned them, according to the map. The Boyers got upset. Because the Slaters were saying that that was their ground. But yet they showed the map evidence of what they had purchased. And therefore they wanted to protect their animals they were using from anybody else taking off with them. But yet the Slaters were assuming that they were out to take over their land. And eventually took an event by Mr. Slater to change his mind, where he saw the Boyers came and helped even after he had caused much difficulty, and therefore afterwards changed his attitude. And so you have interaction between all these books in different areas between your social studies and language arts. And the children can learn to look up information and research it on the social studies, and then also write about comments and do reports on the different groups of people and how they came to America, along with the traveling and migration of people to go to other areas for need of revenue. They would be able to understand that. Thank you.